Hello and welcome to my first English video. I love that you guys asked for it, so here it is. So today I'm gonna show you how I made this track right here, which is basically a replacement for this one, which is the original track for my Polaris snowmobile, which is a new bright snowmobile. It's basically a toy. So I upgraded it and I put some brushless motor like this one. This is a very powerful motor. So most of the time the track was slipping, because this is like a, if you can take it apart, this is basic threads. So this is what's hooking to the track itself, powering the whole vehicle. But the problem I had is that this drum right here, I had to do some modifications on it. But at first this was not hooking the track as much as it should. So it was slipping all the time. Motor was spinning way faster than it should, and the track wasn't following it. So I had to do some modifications, and as you can see in some of my other video, I did some modification. Like this wheel is more this way than it used to be, and I also put a little suspension here. It wasn't there before, but yeah. So as you know, this is the stock one. This is the one that I made. You can check my other video if you want to see how I made it. Well, it's not very how I made it, but more like what it's looking like. This is one you've probably never seen. This is one from another new bright machine, which is this one. It has been painted, by the way. But this is one of my buddy's snowmobile. He has this one. It's slightly different model. This is like a BRP snowmobile instead of a Polaris one. So it is not the same construction, as you can probably tell. They're not working the same way, as I'm going to show you. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each one of the tracks I made. But before that, I'm just going to show you the first one, the original track. I'm going to explain what the issue is. Okay, so originally there was not some of those. Those are like cut parts of the antenna, so that's why they're weird looking. But later on I used some of those, these are like long screws, but I chopped the proper length of it so that I can use it as an extension, because there was some little small teeth behind those, but they were not long enough to grab on those, because those are not very long. So I had to do some modifications in order to accommodate that. But after some testing of them, the track, it's working, but after a certain point it's getting difficult to turn the track itself, so because the track is getting bigger and bigger, because this is very flexible material. So I had to do some thinking. What's the best way to turn a track for a snowmobile? And then I come with this thing. This is a track that I made. This is basically aluminum, which is let me show you. I started with this thing, which is like a square aluminum. It's not square, but it's like a U-shaped aluminum rod, which is very long. It comes in like a meter long thing. Okay, so I made two lengths this long and two smaller one, and they're like, there's a shaft going all the way through this. Those wheels are basically a servo arm from one of the servos that I bought, and the same thing all around. So those are like little wheels. Couldn't find anything better than that to use. Those are like aluminum. I don't know if they're aluminum or something a little bit tougher than that, but there's a sprocket and they're welded on the rod as lined up as I can. Not too bad, and they're rolling on bearing, so it's reducing the friction of everything. But those wheels are not. They're straight on the threaded rod that I used. Same thing for the back. This was used to keep the track from falling out, because it was going from one side to the other. So this is almost touching the ground. It's very close to the ground compared to the track. So the whole point was to keep the track close and not moving in and out. This is pretty much the same thing as to align the track properly so it can go on the sprocket. And then I decided to use a spring there so that I can have proper tension. Plus I already have a suspension of the Snowmobile, and the suspension hooks there. So you have a suspension like this, plus you have a second one here. So you can go very nicely over the bumps. The first set bumps around, and that's a good point of this thing. The cons of this one is that this one is much more difficult to spin. I don't know why. I think that's because when you're putting the track over it, it's making a lot of resistance because this is always pushing against it. So it's making it very difficult to spin. The stock one is not like that. But the track on this one is slightly different. Like the sprocket wheels are going over those. Those are like wood sticks for barbecue or something like that. I use that just to test it, see if it works. It does work. This is like its third winter, and it did that first week, and then it did not share more than that. So I had to think about something else. I'm not totally sure about that right now. So that brings me to the last one I have, which is this one, without the track, of course. What this one has different compared to the other one? Well, this one has bigger drum, so that means there's more tooth that are gripped at the same time by this. So the charge is divided by more tooth, so it has less chance to go over it. And plus, instead of using round rod, I use square ones, so they're a lot flatter against it. And as you can see here, there's some on the side as well. The track has some tiny one, which is the original thing that was powering the whole thing. But there was those big lugs in the middle, so I put some rods over it so that it can grip this a lot better. So this one is slipping a lot less. It has inside suspension, which is like a bented rod or bented thing. But the problem with this one is that this is all solid. Like if you hit something hard or you're driven inside, let's say you're driven inside, this is the thread that's like, it's the opposite way, but it's the same thing because you have those little lugs, and when they go over the bump, they're bumping over all the time. So it's always making that rattling noise, which is a little annoying when you're driving inside. Outside you don't really have this problem because you're on the snow, obviously. But that's the con of this one. It's probably one of the only one I have. So if you ask me what is the best track you can buy, I would say it's definitely this one, because it has much bigger drums, so the load is split in between more teeth compared to this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but I know some of you guys are gonna be happy because I did an English video. Some of you are gonna hate me for that. Some of you are gonna say, oh, he's so bad at English, but I don't care. I'm doing that for you. So I'm gonna leave you with a small video footage, so enjoy.